you said, social media getting so much bigger that kids are growing up into this, and it's everything that they know.
Right.
You find, you find acceptance behind a phone, which, will put you in a very depressing state easier.
It puts me in one now.
Yeah.
Like even like going through, if you look at edited images and all of these things, you see yourself back. That was something on TV that I didn't necessarily think that I was going to have to combat. Is seeing myself on TV, and as someone who struggles with my body image, being like, that's what I look. That's this person said. That's what I look like. That's this. But like seeing that mirrored back to me at times.
Peace and blessings, you ugly mofos, and welcome to another episode of He Rants. I am your host, Felix Long Trousers.
Hey, Daddy!
All right, let's not waste no more time. Let's get right into this. Hey guys, we got to talk about Malika Andrews. You guys might know Malika Andrews as one of the commentators on ABC's ESPN, the exquisite sports network. What does ESPN even stand for? I just Entertainment and Sports Programming Network. That is crazy. I never even checked with ESPN. Actually, man, I just ran with it. I was like, the sports network, maybe the SPs for the sports, but that's besides the point. The reason why we're talking about Malika Andrews, because apparently she was recently a guest on the guy DeMar DeRozan's podcast. I think he has a podcast now going by the name of Dinner with DeMar. That's call it DD, double D. You get it like double D from editing. This video is starting off. But when Malika Andrews happened to be on this specific episode, she let it all out. She pretty much talked about, I've been getting a lot of backlash for being a light-skinned woman that does my job well, right? Y'all listen to it.
You've heard me say this before. I always say, I want to be two things. I want to be accurate and I want to be fair.
For sure, yeah.
And if I'm not one of those two things, you might not always like me, but this is my number. Please call me. And it is hurtful. Like I think that's okay to say sometimes. It hurts. Even it doesn't matter if it is someone who is credible or someone with a big platform, or if it's someone in their mom's basement just firing off a post. Sometimes it is hurtful when that seeps through, particularly for me when it's not true.
Right. And
that's been the hardest part for me sometimes is stomaching the falsehoods, particularly, this you hate black men or think that couldn't be farther from the truth, and using my family or the way that my family looks as some sort of evidence of that. And that is just untrue.
For sure.
And it's just unkind. And we all have jobs to do, and we do our best. I try to do my best to show up every day in a way that you guys know what I'm about. And that doesn't mean that I've covered every story perfectly. It doesn't mean that I don't make mistakes, but I think I'm pretty good at saying to you guys in particular, could have been better there.
Okay, she didn't talk about the part about her being light-skinned, but I feel like internally, that was in the back of her mind. 100% that was in the back of her mind. It's amazing that with all the evidence that we have acquired from Malika Andrews and her random reportings, that she would not understand why she is held with great disdain by black men in particular, right? It's really shocking when you really think about it, because it seems like she's oblivious. She rather wants to be out here playing the victim, right? I'm just a light-skinned victim out here married to a Caucasian man. And that's the reason why I'm getting a lot of backlash. Once again, she didn't say any of that. But I feel like that's in there. It's in there. All right, let's go down the list on why she's crazy, right? And she knows damn well what the hell she's doing. She's just mad that she's been exposed. First, let's talk about the whole situation that happened with my Nigerian brother, Ime Udoka. If you guys have been living under a rock, I think about 2 years ago, about 2 years ago, Ime Udoka was allowing his African peen to rummage through the panties of young Caucasian ladies within the vicinity of his work environment, right? Which is okay. Which is okay. It's not okay. It is okay if it's consensual. It's not okay because it's still like workplace. You don't want to mix pleasure with work, I guess. But and also a lot of black men were upset at Ime Udoka for cheating on the great Nia Long and everything, which I still understand because Nia Long is like, what, 50 years old. So, I mean, she's not in her prime. She's still beautiful, but she's just not in her prime. So this guy, Stephen A., he came out and spoke about the situation. And I think he wants some accountability for what happened to Ime Udoka, because it's strange that he was to lose his job, but the person that he smashed, that he was having Nigerian intercourse with, was to be not named.
It said in the numerous news reports, it was a consensual relationship that violated organizational policy. So only he is in violation of the company policy. The woman who elected to have a consensual relationship with him is not in violation. He gets to get mentioned and put on Front Street. We don't know who she is. What about the other women within the Celtics organization who have been victimized because wrong assumptions have been made by their involvement? If you knew exactly who it was, that would alleviate the concerns of all the other women who have had their names paraded out into the streets. What about them? You ain't thinking about that. So here we are. We're throwing him out to pasture. And again, Ime Udoka cannot be defended. His actions are his actions. Nobody fights for black coaches more than me.
Malika Andrews caught wind of this, and she was furious. She was absolutely furious because how dare Stephen A. Smith try to hold a person that is not a black man accountable for a consensual act, right? Why is that a thing? Why? Let this black man go down so this white woman can flourish. So she called in.
What's your reaction now after hearing the press conference?
Well, Molly, thank you. If I could first start with this. Stephen A., with all due respect, this is not about pointing the finger. Stop. What became apparent to me in this press conference is that we do not have all of the information here, and it was frustrating to me that the Celtics declined to elaborate or to give more specifics about what exactly the rule breaking was that led us to this point. So that, I just want to get that out of the way first. But to answer your question, Molly, I think what stood out to me, else should have been suspended or not, we are not here, Stephen A., to further blame women. That is not why we are here.
Can you believe the level of disrespect? The level of disrespect, the unmitigated gall of Malika Andrews to talk to a man that could be old enough to be her father. Wild, wild stuff. I'm telling you. So it's the wild, wild west out here, guys. The thing that was beautiful about this is that Stephen A. would not allow this just to go. Right? He was just like, how dare this light-skinned wench go out and speak to me like this on live TV? The audacity, the nastiness. So he came back.
First of all, let me be very clear. I don't appreciate where you're going with that. I'm not blaming anybody but Ime Udoka. He deserves, the fact of the matter is, I've said he deserved to be fired if they were going to fire him. If you're not going to fire him, then don't fire him. My issue is all of this being publicized. The point that I'm trying to make is just like you're not mentioning. Excuse me. I listened to you. You're the one telling me to stop on my show. It ain't happening. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I've already said he deserves to be fired, or he deserves to be there and handle it internally and privately. If you're not going to handle it privately, if you're going to publicize it in that fashion, then obviously it provokes everybody wanting to know, okay, well, who are the parties involved? When you have Amina Smith in Boston and other women pointing out the fact that there were women who were wrongly implicated in all of this, it's a disservice to them. I didn't come out with the report about a consensual relationship. I didn't come out with the report ahead of time leaking that they were going to suspend him for the year. They did that. And my point is, considering how pervasive this kind of stuff has existed in professional sports for many years, my whole point is that, make sure that you handle it in the same fashion it has always been handled. You could have fired him, and then we could have speculated till the cows come home, but he's gone. But to keep him there, keep him employed, but in the same breath, suspend him for a year, then also that year is indefinite. That is the issue that I have. Nobody's trying to protect Ime Udoka, and certainly nobody is trying to protect, is to excoriate the women involved or anything like that.
But that wasn't it. Kendrick Perkins, the Perkster, the percolator. Okay. Kendrick Perkins actually had a similar sentiment, right? He wants more of an investigation. We need to release some more information. Once again, Malika Andrews, she's not going for it.
The word accountability, okay? Accountability doesn't just go to Ime Udoka, okay? Accountability goes to the other people that played a part in that as well. Let me tell you another thing I didn't like about my good friend Wick Grossbeck and Brad Stevens in this press conference when they asked, is anybody else going to be punished? And they said no. And my whole thing is this, right? These are some of the facts that have been out. These are some facts that I know that, you know, this relationship, one of these relationships that was had with Ime Udoka and one of these women, it was consensual, meaning that this woman actually played a part in it too. So my thing is, yes, Ime Udoka was wrong. We get that. His punishment, he deserved that, and whatever else follows, I hate it for him, but he put himself in this position. But why are the other people getting left off the hook?
Well,
that's the problem that I have right now. Everybody got to be held accountable.
I think that we need to circle back to what Shanae said, is that there was an investigation that was conducted by an independent law firm here, and I think that transparency is what will rule the day here. And so without having all of the information, it is unfair and irresponsible of us to go and to speculate on that, because what we have to...
Well, I'm not speculating.
Sure.
I have the information. I'm not speculating.
But
some people might see these situations and think like, listen, it's not that she hates black men. It's just that feminism has rotted her mind, makes her believe that even if a situation is consensual, it's still not consensual. It's still the man's fault at the end of the day, because he's in a power position. Every guy is just powerful. And don't get me wrong, he's the head coach. I get it. But if it's consensual, I don't think he was like, hey, listen to me, I'm the head coach. You better give it up. I doubt it was like that. Let's just be real, right? Because I feel like they would have came out and said if it was like that. Hence why they said it was consensual, right? But here's another thing. Now they got a new interim head coach, Joe Mazzulla. And for some strange reason, it seems like Malika was like, we probably should release more information about their new hire. Let you guys know a little bit of his background.
And Woj, you reported that Joe Mazzulla will be the interim head coach here. You can see his resume on your screen. He's been a Celtics assistant coach the last 3 seasons after spending the previous 3 seasons at Fairmount State. And he played for West Virginia between 2006 and 2011, and now could become the NBA's youngest head coach at 34 years old. And we'd be remiss not to also mention that Mazzulla was arrested twice at West Virginia, once in 2008 for underage drinking and aggravated assault. He pled guilty, paid a fine, and then again in 2009 for domestic battery after an incident at Morgantown Bar. The domestic battery case never went to trial. It was settled in August of 2009. He paid a $100 fine and court costs, plus had to do 40 hours of community service. Now, that was 13 years ago. He settled and paid both fines. So, Woj, why are the Celtics choosing him as their next head coach?
I know what you guys are thinking. Maybe Malika Andrews just hates Celtics. Maybe she might just hate the city of Boston. That might be so. That might be so. But here's another story of her talking about former NBA player, the late Adreian Payne. I don't know why I struggled to say his name. Like, it sounded like I added a little extra syllable or something in there. But yes, Adreian Payne, who was killed trying to do a good act But here she comes, releasing unnecessary information that were also false allegations.
He was waived by the Magic after he was named in a report by ESPN's Outside the Lines that he'd been involved in an alleged sexual assault at Michigan State in 2010. No charges were filed in that case. Prior to playing in the NBA, Payne...
Keep in mind, this guy, Adreian Payne, died by trying to stop a domestic dispute. He went over to a house with his girlfriend. I assume he went over there and like, listen, I'm tall as hell. I'm 6'10". Let's stop this whole madness. And then he got shot. Crazy stuff. But here she comes bringing up allegations that were proven to be false, or at least I believe they were proven to be false, unnecessarily. It's crazy stuff. We got to talk about my other Nigerian brother, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek freak himself, the crazy long name that's so long that it has the curve in the back of his jersey. But even he doesn't like Malika Andrews because he can see the fakeness in her veins.
Malika Andrews, ESPN. For both of you guys, I'm curious, you guys have talked a lot about how at this point, sometimes it takes experience. I'm wondering if now that you have some of that experience, if you see more validity to that point or what you think about that now that you've gone through it.
Just about experience.
A lot of people was just thinking like, man, this guy is savage. this guy, the Greek freak. Is this how we doing it in Greece and stuff? Like, he just left her on red. It's crazy work. But he went out and explained why that was.
I remember it was this whole thing with Malika. You remember with Malika when you walked out and you was like, oh man, we just lost because she asked you that question and stuff like that.
But wait, let me say, you see, even that, I have never said that record straight. Can I tell you what happened? So that game, obviously, historical finals are, high stake. We were up 2-0. They came back and beat us 4 straight. And then after the game, somebody approached me in the locker room. There was this article, that Giannis is leaving Milwaukee. And I'm like, bro, I have not even taken a shower yet. Yes. I haven't even washed my butt yet. What's going on? And then I walked in and I don't remember the question. I answered some question and then Malika, asked me a question, but I was zoned out because, obviously that was my first time being in that stage. Mm-hmm. I was 24 years old.
24, oh my God.
I was 24. I was young. Maybe I didn't know how to deal with it at the time.
How old were you when you won your first MVP?
My first 24, my second 25. So
this is crazy.
So I didn't know how to deal with it. And then, I walked out.
As you can see, Malika Andrews is a pretty fake individual. She's definitely fake. Here's another clip. Yeah, because the clips just keep coming. This guy paused. That wasn't a pause moment. Let's continue. Yeah. So this guy, Jalen Rose, he happened to walk on to a show, right? And hugged Malika Andrews. And this is what Malika Andrews said.
Get your finger out of my armpit. We're just happy to see Jalen Rose welcoming in the man with the best.
Very, very strange. As you can watch that video, you can tell his hand was nowhere near her armpit. Why would she do that? Because a lot of people might be like, oh, what is he doing? Hand in her armpit? Is he over touching? Is he getting a little touchy-feely? What's going on? Bad stuff. I don't know if it's an inside joke or what, but we nitpicking everything now because we don't like Malika. If you think Adreian Payne was the only person she reported on bad, even though I already said a few other people before, we also got to talk about one of the recent NBA picks of, the last 2 years? Brandon Miller, second pick overall by the Charlotte Hornets. This guy got drafted, and she took it upon herself to release some information that really no one really asked for.
Miller, his name did surface in court testimony involving a case where his former teammate and another man, they've been indicted for capital murder in the fatal shooting of 23-year-old Jamia Harris in January. The University of Alabama has described Miller as a cooperating witness. How is this factoring, if at all, into how teams are evaluating him?
Yeah, Malika, part of the
I don't think it would be brought up at all if it wasn't for Malika just bringing it up on national television right now.
The crazy thing is, most individuals, unless you're like a diehard Charlotte Hornets fan or something like that, and you're like, I'm going to go deep dive. Most people won't even known that at all. Most people wouldn't have cared about that. Let's be honest. Most people, John Moran is out here, blasting, playing around with tools and whatnot. And most people, the guy can hoop and he's not killing nobody. So like, let the guy hoop. This is to not say we got to hold people accountable, but I'm just saying there's some stuff is just unnecessary information that's being disclosed. And let's be honest, she knows what she's doing. The reason why I say she knows what she's doing, because when she had a white counterpart, the boy Josh Giddey was accused of doing some fallacious, is that the right word? I'm not sure. Acts to a underage girl. In his defense, I think she lied to him and was in a club that was for like 21 and up or something like that. But she was underage nonetheless. For some reason, Malika Andrews didn't seem it necessary to bring that up ever. In fact, it took the constant, push like by individuals on Twitter, like, yo, you want to talk about Josh Giddey? I mean, everybody's talking about Josh Giddey. Why are you not talking about Josh Giddey? And eventually, in due time, she came to talking about Josh Giddey, and you can just feel the energy being sucked out of her.
That Thunder guard Josh Giddey had an improper relationship with an underage girl. In a since deleted post, an anonymous social media user claimed a girl who was seen with Giddey in videos and images, some of which include explicit captions, was a junior in high school at the time. Giddey, who's 21, he declined to comment on Friday, and despite the serious allegations, Giddey is yet to miss a game this season. And Thunder coach Mark Daigneault, he said he will continue to be in the lineup, saying, quote, just with the information we have at this point, that is the decision we've made. It's obviously a league matter at this point, and the ball is in their court on that. Now, a league spokesperson told me this morning that the NBA is still in the process of gathering information, and we will continue to update this story as the news develops. NBA Today.
I mean, Malika Andrews, you gotta say the story. If we gotta bring out stuff that is like, yo, no one really asked for this, go ahead, bring out the story. Bring out the story. So you got to pull it out for also other races. And I'm not even one of those guys all about race things, but it's like, man, she really is showing a pattern. She's definitely showing a pattern. This is interesting. I'm not sure. Is there anything, her being light-skinned and with a Caucasian husband, which is fine, but could it also be the fact that she was raised by a single mother, a single Caucasian mother, and her black father wasn't in her life, which sucks too. I don't know why was he not in her life? That's the thing. I mean, he probably could have taught her a few things or something like that. Or was he pushed out of her life? Should he have fought harder? There's so many things that I wonder about situations like this. The list goes on and on stuff that we can find about Malika Andrews, showing that she doesn't really hold respect to a lot of individuals, specifically black men. It's really crazy how she moves, and it's wild to me that she doesn't understand the reason why a lot of people just don't like her. Here's the last clip I'm going to show. That she was on a panel and she was talking about a play that some people might deem dirty. Her opinion was her opinion. And she believed her opinion was Bible, even against other NBA players. Wild work.
People saying we don't know if he did it intentionally. He fouled him on purpose and he did it with intentions. Okay, let's get that out the way. Here's the thing that we have to. Looking at the play,
you can't look at a person. Yeah, but you're making an assumption.
Yes, you can.
You can't look at a person and know what their intent was. It was a dangerous play, regardless. But you can't. Okay. I didn't realize we had a bunch of mind readers on the panel. Perk, please continue.
Perk, how old were you when you dunked the ball for the first time?
21.
12.
12. How old were you when you dunked the ball for the first
12.
time? 12. I was about 13 years old when I dunked the ball for the first time. I know what a fast break looks like. I have 4 months out in a season because I had my wrist taken out on a dunk. I know not necessarily the intent to hurt, but I know the intent to foul extremely hard, and that's the repercussion.
For someone who hasn't played basketball at the highest level, for her to put her input like she is the basketball Jesus and stand on it is crazy stuff. But that's how people like Malika Andrews, I'm about to mess up her name and everything. So I'm like, what? That's how people like Malika Andrews just goes about life. Hey, but maybe I'm nitpicking. Maybe I'm finding things and taking them out of context. Maybe I'm making them look worse than they really are. And Malika Andrews, she's just doing her job. She's just reporting on stuff. Like, she wants to tell you about somebody, but she feels like she needs to throw in a little bit of extra information in order for you to be hooked. Like, oh, wow, I didn't know about that. That's a nice fun fact. Thank you. Maybe that's what she's doing. Just bringing extra value to the entertainment sports programming network. But hey, man, maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. Peace and blessings, you ugly mofos. And I'm out.